window. And share to the NatickFOSS user group meeting, January 9th. Is that showing up for everybody?
Yeah, we see it fine.
All right. Ooh, I'm hearing myself talk back to myself. Why is that? Confused about what I'm doing. Let me unshare here for a moment. I know it's going to interrupt things. Okay. I see what I had done. All right. I'm back. What was the live feed playing in the background? One of my tabs, and that was confusing the heck out of me. Okay. So back to the share so that we have what's needed. I think I'm where I need to be. Okay. I don't see anybody who is new to the group. The introductory. Oh, I'm seeing a crash here. I'm sorry, my friends. I hope we're all here and things are working.
I saw a chat pop up. Isaac says he's new.
This year's public domain happened again on the 1st of January. That day, Public Domain Day, is the day that things from 1929 became part of what people could reference without violating copyright, including the wonderful George Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue, which I will not click the link for here. But I hope that you will take a look at that and many of the other things. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a phone call coming in that I have to take. Let me get out of the way and someone else talk for a moment.
I guess we can talk.
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome the newcomers. There appear to be at least one.
Hello?
Hello. I'm new. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Isaac, welcome to the group.
Thank you. My name's Isaac. I guess I can share, if you don't mind, I can share how I ended up here. I learned of a television segment called On Your Computer. It was held by a person called Kevin Gleason. And in one of the segments, he had invited someone called A. Richard Miller. And
I
he was the
back?
co-organizer for NatickFOSS. So I thought I'd pop in and say hello. So I'm happy to be here.
Good.
I hope so.
I haven't talked to Kevin in quite a while. He used to be a professor at college, which was right almost within walking distance of my house, which is now part of
All right.
UMass.
We have Isaac Carrasco Ortiz with us. I'm not sure. I don't believe I've seen your face or your name before. Welcome. How did you find us?
Yeah, I was actually explaining a bit how I got here when you were away taking the
Your
call.
sound is not coming through.
Oh,
I don't think Algod can hear anyone.
Yeah, we can all hear you.
Well, I guess I'll continue. Isaac, if you get your sound organized, let us know more when the chance comes up. Back to looking at the user group's agenda here. Anybody have comments about public domain that they have encountered that they're proud of and want everybody to know is available to them?
Can you hear me now, Elgot?
Yes.
I've happily downloaded all the 1929 things on my list of things that I'd had to click borrow on Internet Archive. I thought we were supposed to be getting 1930, but no, it's 1929, whichever. Yeah, there's a bunch more I'll wait for next year. Bob?
It's a Bob.
Bob also raised his hand.
Yep.
No, that was just in case Algod couldn't hear anybody.
I had muted a tab and I don't know how I did it, but I did it. So I may have missed what Isaac actually said when he introduced himself to the rest.
Oh, it was reasonable you muted the tab while you were taking a phone call. You didn't want to hear.
That's possible.
They didn't want to hear us. We didn't want to hear them. That worked.
All right. Public domain is one of those things that is fraught with a little problem for some of us on the web because some things are current and on the web for free in a way that is public domain, and many other things are not. And it's sometimes difficult to know what you can share and what you can't. So it's nice to be fully aware of public domain as a thing. I actually produce some minor images that I put out on Open Clipart, and those things are required to be in the public domain. So anything that I've stuck out there is that way, but other things might be better understood using the Creative Commons licenses, many of them ranging from CC0, which is the same as public domain, all the way up to a license that restricts commercial use of the work with attribution and sharing under the same conditions. Those are not public domain licenses. And then, of course, there's full copyright, which most people understand you can't share except for minor journalistic quoting. So there we are, and it's nice that the law still recognizes that there is a public domain we can contribute to if we want, but that you need to honor copyright beyond that, out to however many years the copyright request has been run to these days, which is a lot more than the original 14 years. Okay, looking on to FOSS history, which is something slightly different. We have only this Sugar Labs entry because one laptop per child was an effort put together to try to give inexpensive computers to children in education settings around the world, and it just didn't work out. There were too many issues with distribution in spite of the good efforts of the people behind it. However, the software continues to live, and the reason that I put it in here was that I'm interested in the mesh network concept built in the Sugar interface. And if you want to download and explore the mesh networking capabilities of it, there are distributions of the Sugar operating system that are based on Fedora at this point, including one that runs directly off a thumb drive, so you can have Sugar on a stick, which is a very cool opportunity to test out not only their operating system and how the interface works, but also mesh networking with anybody in your neighborhood that is doing something similar. When last I used it, there were about 30 people in my neighborhood here in Metro West that were accessible. It's very much an open sharing, and you really have to know the people that you're going to connect to. There are other mesh networking systems that have been introduced since this one, but this is one that I thought was worth re-mentioning and revisiting in the NatickFOSS meeting here.
Can I make a comment on that?
With that? Oh, please do, yes.
The thing to keep track of when looking at meshing things is whether it's running on Wi-Fi and peering, which is sort of medium range. You know, you can get one or two houses over at modest connectivity, or if it's using a Part 15 low power radio, license free, or if it's using a licensed service radio. There are some folks, couple folks in the BLU fringe that are quite excited about so-called LoRa, L-O-R-A, capital R, and Meshtastic. And those have the problem that you have one channel, low power, and so that your total throughput is like the early days of dial-up. There's not a lot of interesting things you can do with it. So that thinking that we can, construct a off-grid internet with it. Well, if by internet you mean tossing a punch card as a paper airplane, catching it and reading it, yes, you can have an internet, but it is not. The only way to get high-speed meshing is to use either licensed radio services or high density with Wi-Fi radios.
I had heard of Meshtastic, and I had a link that I was going to follow up with. So I will do that now, knowing your recommendation in place. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, it's just the physics and regulations don't stop working, and there's just such limitations. You can get decent throughput if you have a decent bandwidth. Allocated. If you buy from the government a large chunk of bandwidth, you can have high-speed internet wireless, which is what they're doing for wireless last mile, which is actually more like wireless last 100 feet, with these ugly things on phone poles that are being fed by glass fiber. That small cellular Wi-Fi gets a large slice of bandwidth in a narrow radius, and the glass fiber gets you large bandwidth to get it to within 100 feet of the house.
Is that what Comcast is trying to sell as gig?
I don't know if that's what Comcast gig is. That's what Verizon is selling to as FiOS in places where you don't get the fiber into the house, but you have to get their fancy router that receives it from the pole. I prefer and was lucky enough to get as early adopter real fiber on-prem residential FiOS. And that's what I consider your real FiOS. Fiber to the pole, and I'm sharing a wireless router with the neighbors is no. I prefer to have a dedicated fiber back to a commercial router at the central office. Thank you very much.
You had your
hand? As to who offers the service, Comcast, their gig and multi-gig has nothing to do with this. These are being offered by carriers who have been doing cell phone networks, and these antennas sometimes serve a dual purpose. They serve cell phones as well as home internet.
Well, that's some of them. That's not all of them.
Yeah, some of them are dedicated.
And Verizon can do both, so they could have 5G as well as internet on the pole if they wanted to. 5G and 6G are going to have smaller cell sites, so that makes sense. But basically, anybody that wants to go faster than their fastest copper glass to the house, or scale up without the cost of going into the house, is going to have to go to wireless last quarter mile.
All right. Back to my big screen here on FOSS history, where we branched out a little bit, but I guess we can go on now to software. And we have a comment from Dick about Linux text.
Am I there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Let's see. Linux Mint. I heard it was going to be available about the end of December for upgrading to 22.1. The last one, 22, was named Wilma, and they had a little trouble finding a name with the X, apparently. It's ended up Xia, Xia. And the beta has been out, and people think it's quite solid. But somehow, as of this morning, we were still on Wilma for the latest full release. So in another hour, another day, or another week, or another year, you'll be able to download it. I'll provide a link where you can go look, and I'll provide a link for a very good introduction to what's new about it. Very briefly, Linux Mint is very friendly to users. We like it for us and for new clients who are just getting into Linux. It's the one we moved to. It's built on Ubuntu to a large part. Ubuntu is built on Debian to a large part. And so it's in that standard chain with a lot of items already available and many thousands of apps available to add to it as you like. I think it's going to be good. One big difference is 22.1. Linux Mint says it will be supported for 9 years. That's different. Another one, I saw some discussion of this earlier. Linux and Ubuntu, and I'm not sure about that, don't support Wayland terribly well. They have good support for X11 instead. And they've been working on Wayland. The problem is a strange one. Apparently, Wayland wasn't designed to fit on all distributions, and has a bunch of relatively incompatible parts. You pick the right ones if you wanted to run, and a lot of places gave up on that. Now they're trying to develop a version of Wayland, which will be much smoother across distributions, and add that as a additional option for graphics. So, bottom line, there'll be an improved amount of Wayland in this upcoming 22.1 of Linux Mint. We'll maybe have to wait for another release to get this promised thorough one that a lot of groups are working on together. Sounds interesting. I don't want to know more about it. And there's a lot of other nice touches. And again, I'll provide a link where you can read a lot more about it. And you can download it now as a beta and run it. You can download it.
You're not talking about the Wayland, right?
What?
You're not still talking about the Wayland?
Oh, no, not Wayland. I'm talking about Linux Mint 22.1 beta, which was released as a safe to play with beta for everyone. And they want comments back, I believe, early January, early December, I think maybe December 6th. So you can get it if you like. You can put it on a thumb drive from the thumb drive and not affect what's on your hard drive. That's interesting too. But hopefully by tomorrow, this will all be old news. I'll send the links so you'll see them when this agenda gets posted. That's it for Linux Mint. We've got 27 things linked to it one way or another. And also, Algot, I have a few new extras, things that did just hatch, if they fit in as the agenda progresses. That's it for now. Any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Dick. Okay. Bob, you had some interesting comments about Photox, but won't work on the LMDE6.
Okay. For this, I may need to, I would like to be able to share my screen.
Okay,
And
let
show
me
where
cancel my share.
I would like to be able to show where the article is.
Okay.
And when I get
Stop
my share up,
sharing.
I'll explain what this is going to be about. I will share my entire screen. Wait a minute. It just wants to allow me to share. Wait a minute. I don't seem to be able to share right now. Let me cancel again and try again. Share is grayed out. Can I? No, I can't share anything. I'm
You may
afraid I
need
don't
to-
have permission to share.
You may need to drop and reconnect.
Okay. Well, then I will try again.
We love technical difficulties. They are proof that we are alive. I don't want to stomp all over Bob when he returns. His face
Okay,
is
I'm
there.
trying to be back. And let's see if screen sharing is available to me now. Nope, grayed out.
Let's see. How about if we go to Jerry's, even though it's out of sequence, that way we can test whether everybody is not able to do sharing but me. I am the moderator because I started the meeting today, and that might be a factor.
Well, let me try.
It lets several of us be moderators.
I just figured it out.
Oh,
there was
never
yet another thing that had to be clicked within the share prepare. Wait a minute. Share tab. Okay. No, it did it to me again. Okay. There we are. Window. All right. I want to go with Chromium tab and it won't let me. Try one more thing here. Chromium tab. No. It will only allow a window. Well, let's see what I don't want to share that window. Okay. Let's put that. Put that down. Nope. Yeah, I think we better see whether somebody else can share.
Okay, I'll go ahead and try. Are you seeing Ghosty?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a Ghosty screen here. Okay, this is the Ghosty window here. Let me expand that. It's covering up another one. I split this into 3 sections. One of the nice things about Ghosty is that you can split the windows vertically or horizontally. And it's also very fast. It uses the GPU when it can. And up on the top right here, I have HTOP running. On the left, I just have a continuing list. You can see it's pretty quick. And on the bottom right, I just had a window that I had been working in, which is actually logged into our server. And that's basically all I pretty much want to see. I've been using it. It's a pretty nice terminal emulator. You can also modify the, you can open the configuration and set your catch your key bindings and a lot of other things. Got a lot of stuff that you can do with it. Okay, I was going to keep this short, so I'll go back to unshare. Okay, we're back. Now God's on the phone. Did everybody get that?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, Ghosty is available on Mac OS. It's available on another distributions like Arch and stuff like that directly. Fedora, you actually have to do two things. One thing is set up your proper repository and then install, which is 2 clicks of the mouse rather than 1 click. But it installed very fast, hasn't caused me a problem. And I already changed a bunch of key bindings I didn't like. The one that I didn't like was that Control D was their way of splitting the screen. That's not very good when you're on a Linux, on a bash command line. So I changed that to Super D. So otherwise I changed about 4 of them. All related, but you can also, there's a menu for doing the screen and a whole bunch of things you can actually list list your whole configuration and see what your configuration is. And that's it. Al gets back from his phone call.
I am. Thank you very much. I missed much of what you said, unfortunately, but I know it was worth hearing. So I'll
I'm sure
review
it
it
was.
when I look at the recording. Okay, I go back to share is, I guess, the next step, unless, are you ready, Bob? Did you succeed in figuring out your situation?
Let me try again, but I have no idea what's going on. I've never had a problem like this with Jitsi before. Okay, that's what I didn't click. All right, let's see if this. Are we here?
Yes, yes.
There we are. Now I've got to get to my link. Okay, that's going to be a much easier thing. This guy. Let me first start by saying what I'm going to be talking about. In addition to the Linux Mint that is based on Ubuntu, there is a part of the Mint project. Everybody seeing the article?
Yes.
Okay. There is a part of the Mint project which was asking the question, what if we lose access to, or there's some problem with the Ubuntu code base and Mint is no longer able to use it, or we don't want to use it for some reason? There are various things that have been discussed about the relationship between Canonical and its user base. I'm not going to rehash that. But Linux Mint comes in a Debian edition. This is based on Debian Bookworm, which is Debian 12. And the author of the article has a nice desktop. Let me show you something that happens. I think you can see this. My menu pops up from the lower left. He moved his. So it's very much like the same Cinnamon desktop that everybody who uses Mint is used to. So he talks about why are there 2 flavors of Mint, and he talks about this issue. LMDE is currently in version 6, based on Debian Bookworm, which is Debian 12. Debian 13, Trixie, will probably be mainstreamed and become the stable version about mid-year, maybe a little later this year. And it will become, perhaps, if the project goes forward, LMDE 7. there is a difference there because of the differences in the code base. And at this point, I can stop sharing, and I'll just talk to you guys about this. Where am I? There. Because of differences in the code base, some programs are getting ahead of what Debian can support. Debian has a graphics piece to it that is called GLibrary, and that is part of the GTK stack, shall we say. GLibrary in Debian is on version 2.36. Now, the fellow who does Photox, which is Dick and Joe Miller's favorite photo editing program, has just this month come out with a new update. And that upgrade is Photox 25.0. 24.7 works perfectly well with glib 2.36. But if you try to fire up Photox 25.0 in LMDE, you will get an error. You won't see the error if you try to fire it up by a double click, but if you go into terminal and use the command, you will see an error that says that there is an unmet dependency, and that is glib 2.38. You cannot just upgrade glib. If you do that, you will break many things in a Debian-based Linux. So for now, those of us running LMDE are going to have to be satisfied with using Photox 24.7, which is a perfectly good version. And maybe sometime this summer or this fall, we'll be able to start upgrading again when we get this new GLibrary.
Excellent information for those people trying to follow the leading edge of things, which is common for members of this group, I'm proud to say, with the caveat that I am not one of them. Dick, you and Joe?
I am not one of them. You and Joe?
Actually, it's Jill. I have a message from Mike Cornelis and says, Photox works okay on my Linux Mint 22. And then he goes on to a lot more detailed stuff that I won't read to you all. So he isn't seeing the problem. I did notice that if I tried to install from his source code, there were a couple of unmet dependencies, different than the one that Bob mentioned. So I think we need to talk to Mike about it.
Okay, one other thing. I do have Mint 22.0, and yes, it did work there. It did work there.
Okay.
And as
Furthermore, we have, first of all, Photox 5.0, we'll be doing more with it later, was officially released on January 1. And people have been giving back problems. We're two of the people who've been giving back problems, and there are problems in a bunch of different releases of Linux Mint and Ubuntu, and I don't think they're Photox problems. I think they're problems that got introduced about the same time, further up the ladder. But in looking, I made an interesting discovery. There's a bunch of approved repositories for downloading Photox. And almost all of them currently have, let's say, their newer versions than 25.0, which is Mike Cornelison's newest version, the official one. I sent him a list of some of the people who are managing it and posting these newer versions. And he said, Mike, what do you know about these versions? And what do you know about these people? Have any of them been working with you? From a large list, Mike said, I recognize 2 people. Something's going on out there. It's not Photox, and it's kind of weird. For the moment, absolutely, definitely, if you're downloading anything that says it's Photox, only download it from Cornelius. I'll send the link and all of that. That's Mike Cornelius, and he starts with a C, but the link starts with a K, and I'll add the link. There's trouble out there. Jill and I have had what I consider the worst month I can remember in terms of trivial stuff slowing us down immensely. And this is an example of it. There's something out there going around. I'm inclined to call it Trump, or my nickname Trump. And I think we're getting trumped one way or another. And this isn't the only place it's been showing up. There's a lot of junk flying around out there. More on Photox when I get to demo a few things. That's it for now.
Just one follow-up. If you get Photox from source, I've had the same experience. There are missing dependencies. Especially things like Library Champlain and things of that nature I've seen in Debian. And I just simply went out and found these dependencies and put them in, and the HEIC support.
Well, Bob, I found all of the ones that he listed, and a couple of them I couldn't find at all. So, I mean, I go to Synaptic and it says, I didn't find nothing. And
You're right. It's not.
And I tried using apt. Yeah, I tried using apt install, and it didn't find it either.
I had to go to some very deep, dark corners of the internet to find things, and I found legitimate sources. For example, HEIC. I think I had to. Well, one of the graphics formats. I had to go to the people who invented the format, and fortunately, they had a Linux dependency. They had something that went into Debian Linux, and it could go right in there as a Debian package. Or I, in one case, had to compile from source. So yes, these problems are solvable, but I wish that they could be solved within the Photox program.
Okay, I shall share again for our agenda. Wait a minute, where did it go? I don't see. Nuts. There we come. I am not getting where I think I should be, but let's try this. And did you get my screen there?
We have a
Alga,
screen.
Do you want to be on your email?
No, I don't. It is not giving me my window choice, Bob. I'm having the same problem you had. And I started this silly meeting. All right, let's try that again.
It took a
Maybe
little
I
figuring
have
out.
too many windows open. Share a window.
And then click on the exact window you want.
There it is, Firefox. I don't know why it wasn't there before.
Perfect.
Okay, wow. We're moving through, but here we go. Note as we get to the XFCE item that over on the right, the very right-hand side, it says add warning. That is usually represented by a little bit of a graphic. Thank you very much to Ed for adding those in, but those are served from our NatickFOSS.org domain, and as a result, we're getting the alternate text here. So if you go to read the Wayland support, Ed, do you want to talk about this article?
I'm currently not using Wayland for that. I'm still on X11, but that was the big thing with 4.20. It has some support, as Liam puts in the article. There are some pieces to it that are still missing. And my early experience initially was kind of mixed because when Fedora upgraded it in Rawhide, which is their development branch, the desktop icons all disappeared. And to fix that, it required a certain library package installed on their build host. So once that was done, the maintainer rebuilt the package, which was, I believe it was XF Desktop. And once that was in the repositories and upgraded, the desktop icons were back. And with OpenSUSE, one of the other features is that when you go to about XFCE, it now displays the distribution's logo, or otherwise should display it. And in the case of OpenSUSE, I found on my older desktops it displayed that, but on the newer installs, it displayed the generic display monitor as it did in the previous version. And come to find out that there was a certain OpenSUSE icons package that required installation to display the branding, and that package wasn't in the recent install images. So that required a bug report, which I submitted to them, which they've assigned to the XFCE maintainers, and hopefully they'll get that package in some upcoming images. But once those quirks were worked out, it actually works quite well. But again, I'm not using Wayland. I'm still using X11 for it. And my understanding too is to launch a Wayland session, you have to do it from a command line.
But if you're chasing bugs the way you are now, Ed, I guess that's not too hard for a test. Many of us are more at the user level, not the bug chasing crowd, and we definitely appreciate the work that you guys do to chase down those bugs so that we can launch things through our standard GUI desktops and not be lost.
Yeah, because I learned not too long ago that when you install a Linux distro, and it doesn't really matter which one, if you're looking for the latest and greatest packages, in some cases you're not going to get that. Like in the case of Debian, I don't think they will have 420 until Trixie comes out which I think is next year. But my understanding is that it's in testing, and so when I put Fedora Rawhide on one of my external SSDs, and then also OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, which is their rolling release that, everything goes through QA before it gets pushed out. You have pretty much a good chance of getting, the latest versions of software. That's just based on my own experience. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, our next topic is 6 Linux Myths Busted by Jack Whalen. I think this and several of the next are actually all yours, Ed. So if you want to continue, we'll finish off the hot software list.
Well, those are just some articles that I found over the past month that I thought folks would be interested in reading. Most of them I actually found through Mastodon. They were posted by some of the users on the instance that I use, and I clicked it, look at it. If it looks interesting, then I would I'll throw it in the agenda for the following month. But some of these articles are really good.
Okay, so we recommend that when you get the chance, you will see this agenda in our archive page on NatickFOSS.org. Once that's back up, we recommend that you click through on some of these and try to ignore the number of ads that some articles are supported by. We do try to minimize our dependence on those kinds of articles, but in the modern internet, they are the norm, unfortunately. Okay, with that in mind, I see that the next item in hot software is a demo by Dick Miller using Photox to cure an incredibly dark photo. Are you ready to share with us, Dick?
Live streaming is on.
And we've also told you about my phone's working now, I'll ignore it, but typical. And we go on to focus. And speaking of focus, Jill said that I'm waiting for new glasses. I've been waiting for new glasses for almost a full year. I've gotten some, they've come in long, and I'm squinting at some of the phone spots in there. Never a dull moment.
Okay, it says I'm sharing my screen. Good. What do you want to go to now?
Where's the live screen?
Here.
Okay.
Where do you want to go?
To in my computer. Just can you set it up so I can move in my computer? Full screen it? Oh, is it full screened?
Yes.
Okay, and let me see it full screen. Bingo. Okay.
Where are you going?
Let me see if my computer will talk to me. Now that I have the full screen.
What application?
Is this blanked out on purpose?
Yes.
Okay. Linux Mint 22.70. Can you see it on the screen?
22.70. I thought it was 22.0.
22.0. Sorry. And I'll bring up our favorite photo program, Photox. And that sounds good.
Where's Photox?
Oh, it's
Resist Photox.
says here. Photox is riffling through all the slides I have filed that it looks at, they're all image files, and it's looking through about 138,000 of them to sort them in order, and it's just about done. 4, 3, 2, 1, bank. No,
It's
please. Pretty
it's
please.
going to run slower because
Oh, I've got a load on the computer today.
right.
But anyway, this, I had this all set to demonstrate, and with the microphone issues at the beginning, I got talked into powering down and losing them all. So I'm bringing it up. Here we come. Now, please. Sometimes you have to do this at it.
Can they see that? They can't.
Right threatening away at it.
At the
Yes.
moment, I think most of us are seeing a circle that says VA in the middle of it with your screen
Oh,
share.
no. I think you're
You
seeing,
have a message that says you are sharing your entire screen. Stop sharing, and then there's something with another button.
and now it just got to where I wanted it to go to.
Well, can you check one?
So you're not seeing,
Click on the stop sharing. Click on that button and see what it may get it actually shared. What does it say?
it's different. It's nothing to do with us. So
Well, if they're not seeing it, this may
it's
get.
telling me I'm sharing the entire screen. What in the world do I do so you're sharing the entire screen?
Dick,
The math continues. Yes,
I gave you a suggestion.
she'll do it. So, that's,
That just minimized it. Okay. I don't understand. It says we're sharing, and you're not seeing our share, but we've got John Thompson
so don't go into detail.
in our share screen.
Yes. What?
You got everything but.
Right.
Okay. Apparently, this is a technical issue that we'll have to solve, so maybe we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I guess you've unshared at this point because I don't see that.
Yes. And this.
Okay. Let's see if I can get us back to. Wow. Just not being friendly today. I don't see what I want to see. Entire screen. I don't want that. I want a window. And when I ask for window, all I get are other things, not the Firefox. Oh, it's so tricky. All right, there it is. Jerry, you've given us your demo of the Ghosty terminal emulator, which I missed, but everybody else saw. So that pretty much talks us through the hot software, except for using Markdown for note taking, which I think was one of my offerings. I use Markdown on a regular basis to provide my own journaling along with preparing agendas. It is a portable method of doing text entry that, because of a program known as Pandoc, among others, you convert from one format to another, but your window, let me unshare what I have shared here and go to sharing my window of not this. Let's try. This is my markdown screen in a program known as Kate, which is just a text entry, not a word processing screen per se, but a text entry screen. And it looks just like any other text that you might enter, with little differences. Among those differences are that the double hash marks identify that this would be a heading as opposed to just saying Thursday, January 9th. The next block is an actual paragraph. This note tells me that I could not get to going into the server to post our agenda today. And then here's a nice link, as it shows in Markdown, about using the column command in Linux, which would be interesting on its own as a topic. This gets converted into a bunch of other formats using Pandoc, but is by itself readable and not hard to type. And you just learn the very few details of how to make different things happen in Markdown, like doing a heading, doing a link. Otherwise, it's just as simple as typing. If I want bold text, I use 2 asterisks. And while it shows in Kate as bold text, it wouldn't have to, but it could be converted because Markdown is very well supported around the internet. And the recommendation in the article is that if you want to make your work extremely shareable, your best method to do that is to do Markdown. Save your files in this format and then share them, and people can redo them as they wish.
And you can export multiple formats if you need to.
Yep. One of the nice pieces of that is that when I reshare here and go back to, where is it? This one. I can, in the background, zip over and create a tab that I are now seeing of the agenda as it would appear on our website when it comes back up. This is how the agenda looks in HTML, but it was developed in Markdown. All I had to do was put this agenda which you have seen on another screen. This is converted to HTML, which we put on for everybody to see it on their browser. Okay, it's a pretty cool system, actually. All right, let me go back to my other tab, because this is the more easily readable version for us. Anybody have other comments? I think I heard some. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I was going to say
Yes.
that I use Markdown for most of the websites I support, using Pandoc to create the HTML from the Markdown, and use Makefile to remember which Pandoc options each sub-project needs.
It's a very efficient typing process once you get used to doing it. I think those who are working on our agenda building, the members of the inner circle, as it were, are using Markdown when we develop the agenda, which is here. This is the agenda page as I'm seeing it in the next month's blank agenda. And our current agenda takes a moment to come from the web, but this is our development version as we put it up together over the period of a month, getting ready for our next meeting. And once this meeting is done, we'll go back to developing for the next. It's a pretty efficient system. And if you aren't using it, you might want to give it a try, even though it has a beginning learning curve. It's not all that steep, unlike some systems. Okay. We have hot hardware, which maybe we can get a little bit of comment on. Maybe with luck this time, Dick can successfully share to us. I'll stop sharing once again so that he and Jill can give us their information about the external adapter and their 4 terabyte SSD.
Just a minute.
Are they with us?
Entire screen, good. Well, it says I'm now sharing the screen. Anybody see it?
No.
Only a DA.
Huh. And I see another problem here. We've been working on it. The camera had been working. Every time we go to start the camera, it says it's working, and then almost instantly it shuts off again. Something happens. We'll find it later. This is not a fun day. But let me describe what I'm talking about, and I'll provide you with links later. First of all, I wanted to show you, I'll show you images and links. We went to reconstruct my laptop computer to soup it up. Now, it already had 16 gigabytes of RAM and a Core i7 CPU and 3 terabytes of storage, 1 terabyte of which was a lot faster than the rest, a 2280 stick storage SSD. when I saw ads offering what had been $300 4 terabyte sticks to put in instead of it, I thought that would be nice. I'd save some power, I'd gain some storage, I'd pull the slower 2 terabytes of storage or leave it in, and it made good sense all around. That led to our looking through not just mine, but a lot of ours and ex-client hard drives, and we pulled something we hadn't used for a long time, a adapter that takes an internal hard disk and plugs it in to a pretty big adapter with a pretty fancy cord that ends up with, among other things, a USB mail plug. So you can plug it on externally and run a lot of drives through it, pick off what they've got on them that you want, use your program to clean the disk beyond uncleaning by somebody else later, and then turn it over for someone else to use. We did that. We did it for the disk I was working on. We transferred all the data, and when the new stick arrived, we were all set to go. And there are links per topics. I want to show you that new stick. It looks real good. The ad looked even better. 4 terabytes, $60. There's always a catch. There was a $10 shipping added on. Not bad. So I got it. And from a different place while I was getting it, I ordered 2 16-gig RAM boards so I could up to 32 gigs of RAM. Souping up the computer, very little money. That cost the 32 gigs of RAM cost us a whopping $41. So a little over $100 a supercomputer. Again, speeding it up a lot. And the RAM works. Storage doesn't. Started looking around, and I started finding out a horror story online of companies doctoring anything from a 128 gigabyte storage chip of that sort to a 1 terabyte storage chip of that sort, and building into it right up front a little signal that identifies it as a 4 terabyte storage trick. The tools for that are available online, and a lot of people are nefariously playing with that tool and selling these sticks after they get printed, very professional looking labels to go with them. I'll provide the link. You can look at the label, you can look at the description, then you can look at some of the gripes out there. Add mine. So we had to go back and unconstruct the new computer, and we are now getting to the point where we can almost show you another trick next month, I guess, because we bought an adapter for those sticks. It'll take any typical SSD, NVMe stick, 2280 or shorter. You can put the shorter ones in it, and you can plug it straight into your USB port, A or C port, and now you can do work on that drive like we were doing on the hard drives. Got one, looked good. Price was sort of like maybe $15, and can't tell you a whole lot about it. It took us a long time to pry the caps off the two ends of it for the two male USB connectors. They were on so tight, it was amazing. We finally found a way to grab them delicately with something holding hard, and we're able to get them off. Home free. All we have to do is open it up, put in our chip, and work on it. Wrong. We're still trying to open it up. The instructions very clearly say you press right there on it and slide the inside out of the outside. We've pressed there as hard as we dare press before we shatter the enclosure. We've sent messages to them. They sent back very nice messages, basically asking us questions instead of giving us answers. And I said, just give us a full video or something else. You've shown us where to press. That place doesn't go in. There's a place near it I think you meant, but we're not sure. It does go in, but I still can't slide the inside out. So we've got a hard drive enclosure we can't open to begin to commence to do the testing. We have another one on order that will probably arrive a little later today. So we've got a lot of topics I really will explain this month, but want to hopefully conclude next month. Sigh. That takes care of those two topics, other than the links that I'll provide to Algot. Any questions? Any better curses than the ones I've already tried? I'm done.
All right, thanks. If you would unshare your unshared screen, just so we don't have conflict there. And I will look forward to receiving your email. And once the domain is up and accessible, everybody will be able to see them, and we'll move forward. Now, speaking to Isaac about the access, under normal circumstances, you will be able to see NatickFOSS.org and our archive page, so you will be able to see these links once it comes back up. But you may also want to consider joining our discuss list. Unfortunately, the instructions for that are also on our webpage, which right now isn't accessible. But in the next week, let's say, you might want to check back so that you can add your address to that discuss list, and then you can pose questions to any member of the group that you want, along with the visibility of the links that we're talking about getting posted, just so you don't feel like we're talking around behind your back here.
No, thank you very much.
Good, good. All right, let me get back to the attempt to share the agenda. That. All right. Hot internet. I think we want to jump to Bill Ricker rather than going back to Dick right away about using his FOSS tools to ID the source, because that would be another online demo that would be hard to do, I guess, today. We'll come back to that yet again in a future meeting. Thanks, Dick. I'm not cutting you out, just skipping over you for now. So, Bill, do you want the screen?
Not particularly.
Okay.
They're short videos. I could force people to watch them now, but once the email or web page comes around, people can watch either of them or neither of them or both. And if they choose, look at the other 22 open source intelligence research from home advent calendar bits from I think he's an educator with Bellingcat, but I'm not sure if he's formally affiliated with them, but he's hinting at techniques you can use without having to avail yourself of the Bellingcat tool set, things that just work on the internet with a web browser to research lots of things. The fact that he knew about several reverse image tools that, in addition to the two I knew of, was interesting to me. There's lots of other good stuff there. This is open source in the sense that the news media and intelligence community use the term open source, meaning public data, as opposed to the sense in which programmers and Linux enthusiasts use open source, meaning the code is shared. This is information sharing in the greater sense.
All right, thank you. The Source Plus link here is similar kind of information to what I think that Bill was talking about. This public domain data set is an immense place. 12 million public domain images and growing, I guess. This goes well beyond the clip art of open clip art that I'm involved in. The information that you can get from here is images many people would want to use as screen backgrounds. You can download the image if you're interested. This, I guess, is the Milky Way from Croatia. It's found on Flickr, according to this piece of information. I don't know what Otro is, but maybe that's a title. It is Wikimedia Commons for a source. It has been given a license of CC0, and it gives you nice information about what you are looking at. You can go from this link to the original collection where it was originally posted. So this is a resource of resources as well as being a source of direct downloads of individual images. It looks like you can also download the entire thing, but that has a cost. I'm not sure I want to download that much data anyway, since I don't have multiple terabytes of storage on my own. But it's a nice archive from what I can see. I think I heard a hand raised.
Yes, you did.
Okay, go ahead, Dick.
And now you see my voice. This is a group that's been online, but they've just opened a new branch, if you will, and literally publicly announced it yesterday, hot off the press. They've taken a big image collection they had and split it off with a great new tool. So it's the image part of it that's new. not the images, they were around, but it's just a lovely new way to see them. And since I can't show you how to do it, I will send along a link or two beyond the one you have that will take you into an infinite view of those zillion images. You can just scroll around any direction you want, any distance you want, apparently forever. I think it's a flat Earth, but I haven't yet fallen off the edge. And anything that looks interesting to you, just click to see the details, use it for a desktop, bring it into Photons to make it the way you like, anything you like. This is just lovely, and it plus Photons are going to keep me in trouble for a long time, or out of trouble. And just a great match. I've already played with it some. So I'll send along a few links. I think I'll also send along a photo because if you tuned in early, you saw me with a background of a beautiful sunset. We're starting one right now on the day that I can't show it to you. I can't turn my camera on. So I'll take a picture and send it along. That's it for this topic.
Okay.
You would know.
Thank you, Dick. This gets us to the topics of computer security, privacy, and freedom. This first one may be only me that's being affected, but it doesn't sound like it. I have a cell phone that I text other people using the SMS service, and Verizon has decided that they are not going to use the service the way they have in the past, and that the messaging that's on my phone, which is a Samsung, can't work anymore with what is known as RCS, a more secure style of text messaging that also includes other information, more emojis and things like that, as I understand it. I got this message, and for now, at least, I'm not aware that I have switched, but I am still using the RCS kind of messaging. Does anybody else run into this problem, or is this just people who are Verizon customers? Ed?
Yeah, from what I know about RCS, I don't know how accurate the information is, but I was led to believe that RCS only works between two phones that are on the same carrier.
Okay.
I think it's like SMS years ago when it first came out. You could only text somebody or text a phone number on the same carrier, but not on others.
I think I heard that this was somehow linked back to Apple as technology, that their wish to do messaging was much more robust than anybody else's. And the fact that they had introduced it made it impossible to communicate with those people unless you board. And Verizon basically told me I should switch to Google Messages. And as far as I know, I have not done that, but it looks like I'm using something that has a Google logo at the top of my message screen at the moment. Anyway,
I'm
it's
using Samsung Messages, and that does RCS fine, where you can switch to SMS easily enough.
okay.
And
Isaac, you had a comment?
I text to my son-in-law and people like that if they're on a different net than I am.
Isaac?
Yeah, yeah, this is interesting. Did they offer any other comment as to what system they might be switching to after RCS? Or and how is that messaging given to you? Was it through like an email alert, or I'm just curious to learn more about that.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically, but I think it was an email that I received, because my nominal email address is Verizon. Excuse me. What am I trying to say here? I'm having a brain freeze moment. I'm sorry, Isaac. I am a FiOS Verizon customer, and I think because of that, I received the email version of their notification that said, you are going to be unable to use the standard message app on your Samsung phone, which I bought from Verizon. So I didn't do anything at this point, and there's no information from the company at this point, as far as I know, that says, here's how you switch so you don't lose track of all the messages you used to have, which is important to me. So I'm just going to wait to the deadline, which was sometime in January, and I don't remember the date, but sometime before the end of January, the RCS is going to stop working on presumably the app I'm still using, the messages. And at that point, I don't know how it will happen. I may have to switch. But it's not switching away from RCS. It's switching to continue RCS. The more secure messaging, I would have to switch away from my Samsung messaging app onto Google's. And that's one more thing that I don't really care to have Google know about at this moment. Google knows about too many of the things I already do. Anyway, that's a sideline, I'm afraid. We shouldn't be all so negative, I'm afraid we are, though. Anyway, leaving Windows for Linux, or specifically Linux from Windows 10, which is on its last legs, apparently. Everybody has either switched to 11 with their new hardware or are going to have to do something, because 10 is not going to run in the future. I don't know an awful lot about this. I think this was one of Ed's. I didn't get a chance to review it, but we always recommend Linux to anybody that asks us, because we in this group have been very happy Linux users for many years in most cases. TP-Link routers apparently are worth an investigation. This one also is Ed's. You have any comments for the group, Ed?
No, there was just some more articles that I found.
Okay. So we'll carry on here. Same thing about the 4 easiest ways to test Linux on your old PC. That's one of the nice things about Linux. It often uses low numbers of resources on a computer relative to the Windows requirements. And that means that you can stick in a live distribution thumb drive and boot your laptop, for example, and immediately the Linux computer screens will show up, the Linux operating system will launch, and you will be running a Linux system from your thumb drive without touching anything that's on your Windows 10 hard drive. And if it runs well as a live system, you can typically save your data from the Windows to an external disk and then pull your data back into Linux, with the caveat that you do not get full support for Windows programs. You have to use other programs that support formats that Windows programs export. We use LibreOffice as the example here for most times. It's the product that does as close a job as the what's it called? The Microsoft Office, which used to be something you downloaded and is now just a subscription to Microsoft 360. Oof. I don't want to pay a subscription fee every year to use a program that I can run on my own computer if I run LibreOffice. So if anybody's out there watching this later, try LibreOffice. It runs on old PCs, and if you like it, consider these links about how to test your old computer before the support runs out for Windows 10. And the last of these is an article about something known as Trustmark, because your new computer might have security issues, but then your new refrigerator or your new washing machine or your new toaster runs software. And theoretically, new labels on new products being offered by companies like the big retailers, Amazon, will have a label that says this item meets what you require of protection for your own data, that your refrigerator will not report back to some company that they are figuring out what you put in and what you take out and sharing that information with all the local grocery stores in your area so that they can send you ads, perhaps even through your refrigerator, that says, "You're low on milk. We have a sale on milk. Would you like to buy our special milk?" I hope that doesn't happen, but it sounds like that's the direction we might be headed. And this federal government program of the US is a voluntary one at this point, and a manufacturer of a fitness tracker can put on the box that they are a trust mark product as opposed to being a do not trust product. I wish us luck. All right. It's one of the more interesting things about going to some of these links. The only way to retreat back to this page from that link was to go to my back button on the browser and scroll down 4 entries
Yeah.
to be able to get back.
Have you tried right-clicking, open a new tab, so that you can just kill the old tab to get back?
I hadn't done that, but that's probably the better way to do it these days.
Regarding Trustmark and smart devices,
Yep.
I don't want more than an 8-bit controller in an appliance. We may have to start paying extra to get stupid appliances again. I know some people say they don't even want a display on their washer dryer. And well, having actual digits that display how many minutes are left is not bad, but mechanical turn knobs are nice. Menu interfaces shouldn't be necessary on a refrigerator. And we may just have to pay extra to get appliances that don't spy on us. And if it's the case that we have to pay extra to get something with less processing power in it, that means that the information they're stealing from us is subsidizing the purchase price, and that's why it costs less than the stupid one.
That unfortunately is true. Thank you very much, Bill, for your insight. We are security conscious in this group as well as being sometimes we are a little bit negative in our opinions, but that's unfortunately a necessity based on how many hacked systems there have been out there. With all the data that's available on the cloud, the less of our data, the better. Dick, you guys have your hand up?
You
Dick
can,
Angelo, here's
you can call it paranoid.
And I'll add, I told you good things about those public domain images in new format. If I'm correct, that's the one where I couldn't find any way to avoid their tracking me. They said, don't worry, we won't give out your personal identity. But I couldn't turn it off. So.
Yeah, and not giving out your identity and not giving out your information are two very different promises, and they probably don't even realize how easy it is to strip your pseudo anonymity off of the personal data they are willing to share.
Yep.
Precisely. And that's assuming they're talking honestly.
Isn't every corporation an honest broker? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're an honest broker for the shareholders.
There you go.
And sometimes the C-suite is shafting the shareholders too.
What fun. Okay. Artificial intelligence and large language models is the last major category we have this month. Dennis has a a game to show us. So we'll get to that, I think, first, because neither one of these is of significant import. We do have one more that I want to bring up before we go to Dennis. Do we as a group again want to participate in Science on State Street? The Science on State Street, I don't see it because it's behind my stop sharing button, is in April this year. Maybe you guys can see it, though I can't. Are there hands raised? Comments about Science on State Street. That's a Metro West activity at Framingham State University, where we have had a table for about the last 5 years. Excuse me.
My comment?
Yes, please.
Hell yes, it's been fun. Joe and I are clear for that day, and we'll be happy to participate.
Anybody else currently present want to chip in?
Yes, certainly. This is Jerry. Certainly I will.
Okay, great. Excellent, excellent. All right, I think that represents enough to have me enter our organization in their list, which is the next step to take. And then we'll work on details over the next couple of months about anything that we want to try to do differently this year so that we offer a better service and not just Ed, you had a comment.
Yep, I was away from the keyboard. Yeah, I'd like to go there this year as well. I'll bring the laptop screen, some of the giveaways from Vivaldi, and hopefully it'll be a good day.
Oh, good. That's certainly a good beginning crowd, and anybody else that decides it's worth their time can let us know in the coming days. We don't need all the participants to show up in this meeting. Okay, Dennis, are you available to do your demo of a game? All right, let me stop sharing. Yes. I see it.
You're
Yes,
fine now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hmm. When will you be making this game available? Mm-hmm. Mm. An intriguing idea. You don't have a smartphone, huh? Uh-oh. Well, for some reason, Bob missed that whole presentation, unfortunately. He's able to hear the rest of us, but not you, Dennis. Did you hear that? Bob, did you hear that?
Yeah. I'll catch up later.
Commiseration?
I'll catch up later on that one.
All right.
As long as everybody else can be heard, that's fine.
Dick?
Yeah, we could hear everything, but all we saw was a black screen.
You and I ought to have gotten together.
Bugs.
Ah. Ooh. Now that's interesting. So he's envisioning some more major sort of arcade process then. Was he? Well, he could pay your way. Room and board, too. All right. Well, I think that we have had our allotted 2 hours of good fun and some great conversation today. I think we had a better turnout than some meetings, and that's always pleasant. And we are extremely glad to have had Isaac with us So come back again, Isaac. If you found this useful to you, we hope that you will let others know. And even though we have technical glitches, we always seem to have a good meeting anyway.
Yeah,
So,
happy to be here.
good news, good news. Anybody else have closing comments?
I just got one question to you, Alex. Did you log in?
What was
Yeah.
that last?
Were you able to log into the BOU server?
As the SSH, yes, I have. I haven't tried doing an upload yet. That's the
okay.
next step. All right.
Thank
With
you.
that, you're welcome, Dick. Thank you all for attending and giving your contributions, and make suggestions on the discuss list when we get that system back up and running, so that we have another good meeting coming up in February, which should be, let me quickly look back here. February meeting is February 6th, and that's not too far away. So if you have good ideas for that, share them, and one of the board members will get the information put up online for the next meeting. I want to thank everybody for attending and wish you
Thank you,
a
Alex.
warmer than I am month till I see you again.
See everybody next month.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Okay. I'll review the YouTube recording for the rest of what I missed. It's probably been streamed. And with that, I will bid you farewell.